Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome to TikTok's Only Canadians Will Understand, as Canada has its fair share of secrets, and I'm not too sure whether that's to do with the cold, or the people, or maybe even the poutine, but it definitely requires a deeper dive, and these give us some pretty good insight. Does it make sense in a Canadian high school? Of course. An outdoor pool. Right. Wow. Actually. What? Okay then. Well, there was definitely some things in there that didn't catch me by surprise. I mean, poutine at the cafeteria, it's just going to be a given, isn't it? But then, where was it? Like, I mean, an outdoor pool might be a bit of a stretch, but an automotive class, I mean, I don't know of any Australian schools that run an automotive class. I think that's more going to be a TAFE thing, but to have what looks like an entire workshop with gantry cranes and everything in there, I don't know where that's going to be. And honestly, how much does it cost to do that? Do you have to buy your own car? Can you bring your own car in? Well, sounds ridiculous, but I guess that's what happens when you can have, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 kids if it's going to be like a USA school. But no, otherwise, just seeing all of these different things definitely cements all these cliches that you do, from an outside international perspective, wonder if they're cliches or movie cliches or what they truly are. Because, I mean, for one, you have 28-year-olds playing 16-year-olds, and that's just an exaggeration. So you go, okay, does every single school have a big shelf for all the school's trophies? Is that a thing, or is it not? I mean, I can't exactly say that I've ever seen the friendship bench, but hey, I mean, I guess if it works, it works. It's nice to have ideas, but then of course the big hallways with lockers is, I guess, just probably the most classic thing you can get from a North American school, and it's good to see that Canada does not disappoint. Look at the width of that, all the lockers as well. Honestly, unless you're going to probably a private school in Australia, you don't get a locker. And I mean, besides just decorating it and making it your own personal space, I really just don't think many people in Australia would ever use their lockers. I mean, some schools have them, some schools don't, but I don't know anyone that really does. To be fair though, I am a little bit jealous of the giant old thing for absolutely no reason, as that thing looks like it hasn't moved in 100 years, but for good reason. It looks like it does the job perfectly well. There is plenty of room to wash your hands, you're not squished up and then the water just splashes all over you. No, it's a perfect little, just almost fountain with a giant bath down below.
You are from Canada.
I am from Canada.
For you coming from Canada here, what's like the biggest differences that you like quickly notice?
I was pointing out the traffic lights a lot. Traffic lights are weird. Like, the way that they were laid out was just like strange to me. There was like four and then one on top.
Oh, the four and the one on top. People always say Canadians are really nice and polite. Do you think that Canadians are nicer?
It's true. It's really true. I don't think it's a stereotype. I think it's because obviously depends on the person. And
right. For example, right, if Ian goes to, I don't know, like let's say Alberta, right, he's fine. Like let's say I go to Alberta.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we expecting?
Are you going to consider yourself rude if you go to Alberta?
He's going to consider himself
Brown.
Maybe. I'm not from Alberta.
Well, look, that definitely did take a bit of an unexpected turn towards the end there, and also I don't really know enough about Alberta in particular to form a holistic opinion about the place. It just doesn't get painted in the best of light here. However, I do want to paint Canada in a good light overall and just say that, yes, like they said, there's a reason that the stereotype of people being nice is a stereotype, and that's because it's not a stereotype, or it's not even really an exaggerated stereotype. It just is a fact, especially if people are coming, let's say, from the USA and they're used to, I don't know, take another stereotype like New York, kind of cold-heartedness, whatever it may be, and then you go up to Vancouver or anywhere like that and you go, oh, everyone's so lovely, everyone says hello, they hold the door, they don't just say and just push you into the ice, whatever it may be. However, jumping ship a little bit, I do want to talk about how the fact that the first thing that he noticed coming from Canada was the fact that the traffic lights are different. I mean, or at least that's the first thing that they mentioned in this clip, and I mean, I just always thought that traffic lights were fairly standard worldwide. I mean, sometimes the shapes have to change out to be able to accommodate bigger intersections. That's totally understandable, but for him to be saying there's four and then one, is that saying like a red, yellow, green for going straight and then another two for left or right turn, something like that? Because that's what Australia has, but then what does Canada have? Because I feel as though every photo of every traffic light I've ever seen, especially in any of the Western countries, is virtually identical. I mean, even if I search up USA traffic light, all of these within reason look close enough to what I'm expecting. Just, I mean, the 3-banger, the absolute classic, the kind of suspended ones. Australia doesn't really have any of those, but at least the traffic light system is still the same. That's like I was saying, the 9. Really, I'm not seeing a 4 and a 1. And that's where I'm wondering then, the horizontal's a little bit strange, but then I'm wondering how is Canada's different? To be fair, I'm seeing a lot more yellow, and that seems honestly quite distracting. I feel as though you are not then getting the contrast of the light, but I guess that everyone has their own way of doing it, and that is fine. Once again, we've got more horizontal for, I guess, clearance reasons perhaps, but really, I'm seeing once again, they're all just red, yellow, and green, and I don't see how that's going to change too much. Right as I was about to say, there is the 4 and then the 1. That's not what I expected it to be. Is that saying... Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps is that talking about a T intersection where you can only turn right and left and you got red for just all stop? Otherwise, I would have no idea what they would look like fully illuminated because, like I was saying, Australia has kind of 5 on a board, but not in that configuration. Not 2 and 2 and 1. We have 3 and 2. Ah, yes, the absolute classic. Look at all of these guys. These are fantastic, nice and contrasted. LED middles, they're all good. Everything just looks like, oh my goodness, that is a lot. Like I was saying, if you want a lot, there is more than 9. But I've still never seen, like we saw with the... actually, I've just realized that I searched up Canadian traffic light and the 2 and 2 came up, and so that doesn't make any sense because the Canadian went to America, went to the USA, and then just discovered that. So who knows what's going on there. Either way, I think they should learn a little bit from Australia, just going, this is how you do it. Nice and contrasted. Smick.
Here are the top 3 most cutest, adorable animals you probably didn't know about from Canada. Let's go.
Then.
Third, we have the pine marten. Now, this thing only lives in Manitoba, which is probably why you've never seen it. And look how freaking adorable it is.
Like
Gosh, I want one. Second is a baby polar bear. Now, these things only live far north, so likelihood of you going there is very slim. But look how adorable it is. First is the lynx. Now look at these puffy paws. They're just the most adorable animals, but unfortunately, they are so freaking rare, you'll probably never see one in the wild. Here are the...
That's crazy. I want to see... Well, he showed the paws for a split second, but they are huge. They're almost cartoon drawn, like exaggeratedly drawn paws. They're massive. As look at it, both of its fists or its paws next to one another are as big or wider than its face, and for that to be any other 4-legged animal, take a dog or a cat or any other domestic animal, I don't know anyone that would be as wide as their head or wider. I mean, maybe it's just extra fluffy because it's in the snow and it needs extra protection in that regard. But man, I feel as though only maybe a lion or those big cats would come close to the kind of ratio that we're looking at there. Otherwise though, speaking of ratios, we had this little tiny fox, the pine marten. Man, I mean, it's just all of these animals. You really can just see the family trees, how that could be a cat descendant or maybe even some rodents, things like that. Just all of these different animals just descending from all these different animals over millions of years, and they all end up looking relatively similar overall when you just have so much variation and biodiversity. To be fair, I do think that throwing the baby polar bear in there is a little bit of a gimme because, I mean, exactly like it says, it would still eat you, rip your face off, rip you in half, hunt you down, run faster than you. I mean, there's not really any trees where it lives generally in terms of the stereotypes at least, but it would still chase you up a tree. All of those kind of things, they are known for being the most vicious of bears overall, and there's a reason for that, and I can only imagine that they do start developing that habit, that behavior from quite an early age. And so they may look cute, but oh man, don't sign me up for one unless it's, I don't know, the size of a small cat. Maybe then I could handle it, but otherwise, no can do. Oh, and really, even something along the lines of a ferret, I can only imagine would be very, very closely related, and that's where I got the rodent from. But I just wanted to know, for this little fella, let's just see, the conservation status is of least concern and the population is stable. That is nice to know. The polar bears, I think everybody knows what kind of population that's going on. It's not the greatest. Oh my goodness, I've just seen a photo of the lynx on his paws, but I also just wanted to see the population is of least concern. But my goodness, the paws on this thing, that is outrageous. Why? Is it just so they don't sink into the snow, or that's the only really thing I can think of, because otherwise you're going to be having a bigger surface area contacting the snow, cooling you down. So man, that is a very, very impressive animal in terms of its paw to size ratio. It looks almost like a baby puppy or a baby cat when they just have these massive paws that they have not grown into, but I can only imagine that's just constantly. And so man, a baby lynx would just be outrageous in terms of ratios.
Yo, what's wrong?
When it comes to Poland.
So I was getting my food, right? And I asked the cashier, like, how are you doing? Like, the extra mash, right? And she looked at me as if I poured maple syrup all over her pierogies. Like, I don't get it. Why are Polish people so serious all the time? Why can't they just be nice? I don't get it. Wait, one sec.
Okay.
Have a nice day. 미역은요?
What?
See, she didn't even look at me. Like, I don't get it.
Wait, did the cashier give you like a dirty look when you were inside?
Yeah?
It could be because of the weather.
What's
The
wrong with
weather?
I mean, bro, it's like 0 degrees outside and you're wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's like 20 degrees too hot. Like, I don't get it. Wait. Like, do you know where I'm from?
Yeah, like Canada.
Yeah, so we have snow when it's winter. We actually shovel it in the morning while drinking our McDonald's iced coffee while it's winter snowstorming. So like
Iced coffee
we
in
also
the
play
morning.
hockey on the streets because we actually have ice.
Fair enough.
And when is the last time you had a snowman somewhere here? Like when's the last time you saw one?
I mean, I don't think I've seen one yet.
Yeah,
Ever.
exactly. So
thought Poland was
if you can't
cold.
build a snowman, then it's not winter.
Now, look, I guess when you are visiting another country, or I guess especially if you are moving to another country, there is going to be a whole host of different cultural differences that you're just going to have to, I guess, move on from, because there is nothing you can do about it. It's just how people were born, raised, and live their lives. And so in this case, perhaps she's used to North American service and she's going, I don't know what's going on here, or whatever else it may be. Just because it is different doesn't mean that it's completely wrong. And even though this seems like it's an entire sketch, I mean, she opened the door for someone that I don't believe ever existed, and there are plenty of things like pretending there's ice and all that kind of stuff. It's fine, because I can imagine a conversation exactly like this going, like people just going, what's going on here? Why aren't they serving me? Why are they just confronting me? Why are they in my face? Why are they so loud? All these different things. It's just all a perspective-based thing, and so you can only explore the world and just know what the world is offering in terms of differences. It is that simple. You can't get too mad about it. Just get your Maccas and get out.
Things that are considered polite in America or being polite are normal customary ways in Canada. Number one, saying pardon. Excuse me, pardon? In America, people will just say, huh, what? When they want someone to repeat themselves. Number two, when you're going in someone else's car and you ask them if it's okay with them if you eat food or chew gum in their car. In America, people don't even ask. They just be straight munching. Number three, probably the most standard specific one that people notice, is when you're walking through a doorway and you check behind you to see if anyone else is coming. In Canada, no matter how far that next person coming through, you hold the door for them. Sometimes you'll be holding the door for someone that's far enough away that when they get closer, they're actually not going through that doorway, and then you're like, oops, sorry. Versus in America, people just be walking straight through doors, tunnel vision.
I mean, to be fair, some of those I have not really heard before. I mean, I have seen the holding the door in How to Be Canadian. That guy held that door for a good straight 2 minutes, just waiting and waiting and waiting. But if that is what is deemed polite and socially acceptable, and or not even just polite, it's just what you have to do, then you just got to do it. Like I said, you just have to be trying to fit into everywhere you go. But really, I did also love her other comparisons, just saying they're straight munching, they're straight walking through doors, they're straight just saying, huh, what? Just really, I can understand how those little kind of nuanced things would catch you off guard if you, they didn't hold the door for me. Oh, they didn't say sorry or pardon or anything like that. Just go, what? Huh? I didn't hear. Repeat. All those kind of things. I can then definitely understand how the stereotype of Canadians being nice gets very quickly compounded, because if they are actually being nice on the world scale, and then you go to a country that, like I said, might be a little bit colder, then you're definitely just going to have the perspective of going, wow, these guys just really just give it their all. They're just are so polite all the time. Really, they're just asking someone if you can chew gum in their car. Chewing gum. I've never heard of that before. I feel as though people just get in, do whatever. I feel as though Australia, it would be depending on the person in terms of the food situation. I also know that shoes are a bit different in Canada. I think people take off their shoes more than most Western countries. So overall, I don't believe that any of these particularly shocked me. I think they're all fair enough, but it's also very good to keep in the back of your mind, just going, okay, maybe I do just need to ask about this, or maybe I should just hold the door, or whatever it may be, just to be a little bit more polite, and it goes a long way in every country.
Something I didn't realise Canadians did, and now that I'm doing until I spoke to my British sisters. Essentially, when Canadians talk, you talk really high, and you keep talking high until you finish your point, and then you go low. And I was doing this on a call with my sisters the other day, and they were like, why are you talking so weird? And I was like, what are you going on about? And I realised I now do it too.
Interesting.
I've been around Canadians too long now. It's been 5 months, and now I talk like you guys. And
5
I
months.
can even do it. I'm even doing it now. It's so funny. Do you guys realise you do this, or no?
I think, did she end with it as well? Surely she ended with it as well. I mean, no is a little bit of a deeper word anyway, generally, but still, it's interesting that she's picked up on that fact, or I guess her sisters, but her vocabulary has picked up on that fact in only 5 months. That feels very, very, very fast, and I think Australians do this too. I can't lie. I mean, to be honest, I never would have even considered it until she's brought it up. But I think overall Australians do it, and it depends on the context and what they're talking about. And you just go up and up and up and up and up, and then you go, no, actually, it's fine. maybe it's something to do with the sarcasm, or I don't really know why the dialect would do that, but it's interesting that they just very quickly, if she's on the phone to her sisters, went, why are you talking like that? You sound different, you do this differently, it doesn't make sense, I can hear it. It's not like something's off and I can't picture what it is. No, they actually knew what it was exactly. That is pretty insane to me. After 5 months, man, she must do a lot of talking to Canadians. She must be in retail or I don't even know what, just to be able to get your ear in tune that fast. It's actually, thinking about it now, I have heard the term Canadian uprising before, but like I said, I feel as though surely if the Canadians are doing it, and in terms of the history of Canada and the roots of Canada, I believe that Australians would probably do it as well. Maybe even surely New Zealand, I feel as though out of everyone has to have this as well. They just go, oh yeah, it's like, it's very bouncy and jumpy and high pitched often in New Zealand, I feel. And so maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. It's very difficult for me to pick up on it because I don't know, I just feel as though everybody I know does it perhaps, or maybe they don't. Maybe I just don't know what she's talking about.
Okay, so it's been 3 weeks since we moved to Toronto from New Zealand, and everyone back home has asked me the same question. Are Canadians actually as nice as everyone says they are? You know, like that stereotype. Now, I don't know if I can come to a conclusion yet, but let me show you a story of what happened to us on our first day here. So we're walking towards a bus stop to catch the bus, and as we're walking towards the bus stop, me and my girlfriend are talking about whether or not we think people are going to be actually stereotypically nice in Canada. And so I say, look, that's just a stereotype. I'm sure not everyone's going to be as nice here. That's not how the world works. And as I say that, our bus pulls up, right? We get on the bus, we go to tap to pay on the thing, and the bus driver goes, oh, don't worry about paying. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And he goes, I'm really sorry about this, but we're actually running ahead of schedule, so I have to wait here for 10 minutes, and so you don't have to pay, just sit and wait. And he goes, I'm actually going to go across the street to get a coffee, and then proceeds to ask every single person, I think there was 5 people on that bus, if they want a coffee or not. Now bear in mind, this is like our first interaction with an actual Canadian person in the city, and there happened to be this bus driver who said sorry immediately and then offered to buy everyone coffees. That'd be like if you landed in the Philippines, got off the plane, and the first person that greeted you was a nurse dribbling a basketball. Or like if you went to America and the first person that greeted you was a guy holding a gun draped in an American flag.
Actually, I think that one could be possible.
Anyway, time will tell. Been here 3 weeks, loving it so far. Hopefully people are still nice. Oh, by the way, I will add, 2 hours later, we did nearly see someone get hit by a car, so, you know, swings and roundabouts.
I mean, that's a little bit different. I don't really know if you could call that being nice or not. That might just be an unfortunate incident, accident, or anything else to describe it as, but really, it is interesting. And honestly, I feel as though bus drivers in particular, I've heard of many stories before of just stopping the bus, giving directions. I mean, even to buy an entire bus, yes, there might not be too many people on the bus, but to buy everyone on the bus a coffee, or at least offer to, sounds pretty ridiculous. I've never heard of anything like that happening in Australia, that is for sure. I feel as though, I mean, I think bus drivers are all right paid, but I don't think they're paid enough to be able to just be going out of their way to buy people's coffees, that's for sure. To be fair though, I do think that what he said about the stereotype not entirely being true, because it's just not how the world works, also has some merit. You can't just go, yes, every single person I will ever encounter in this country is just going to love me. They're going to say sorry and everything constantly. And I mean, maybe you might have a high percentage, but you also cannot rule out the whatever percentage it will be as well. And so it's nice to have that in your mind, just not having infinitely perfect stereotypes or expectations about the place. But really, when they just continually seem to prove themselves over and over and over again, I can understand why they have these stereotypes. It really just constantly seems to just be proved as to why it's not a stereotype, because the stereotype, I feel, is often an exaggeration of what it is. It's just a fact.
Okay, I'm a Canadian living in Australia, and there are 2 things that I think are absolutely nuts about this place. No complaints, it's the most amazing place to live ever, and I'm so grateful every single day, but there are a couple of things that I'm like, come on. Some people might not think that the first thing is that big of a deal, but I personally think that it's wild. Cafes and restaurants don't have bathrooms. So you go for coffee in the morning, and you have your coffee, and subsequently, you have to go to the bathroom. They may or may not have access to a bathroom in the general area, so they give you a key with a giant spoon on it, and then you have to walk a million miles, and there might be like a shared tiny little bathroom that's neglected and kind of dirty that you have to do your business in. Coming from Canada, that's odd. The second thing, how gorgeous the women are here. Give me a break. That's all.
Okay, that was a little bit of a very short second part to that, but no, touching on the cafes, yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of cafes aren't built up in modern buildings. A lot of them are just basically converted houses or random old stalls in terraces, whatever it may be. They do often have to share bathrooms, and they often are just more, if you want to call it, a dunny in terms of how they're going to be described as the quality of the toilet. But regardless, yeah, I guess it's a thing. I can understand it would be different, and I can understand how it might be a little bit confronting, especially if you just handed a massive wooden spoon saying, do not lose this, we only have one, and we're not reprinting it, otherwise we're going to have to get the locks drilled out and things like that. But it just is what it is, I guess. I mean, if you're going to a larger cafe, they may have one. They may also be able to share with, I don't know, let's say even a fast food restaurant, whatever it may be, just having a deal, just go, oh yeah, or even Woolies or shopping centers, whatever it may be, they just go down there instead, because we do not have the facilities for it, and that's because generally they just do not, or it might be staff only, or like I said, maybe the person is a converted house and so they live there as well, so they don't want every single customer just going into theirs. It's all of those things that come into it, and it's just generally what it is, but it's not every single one. I mean, yeah, it's a bundle, but it's not every single one. If you go to probably a more popular one, it probably will have one.
All right, here are some Canadian slang terms that you need to know.
Let's see how many I know.
Okay, number 1, a 2-4. This is just a 24 pack of beer. Number 2, a 25-piece patio set. What is this, you might be asking?
What?
This is just a 2-4 and a chair.
Right.
Number 3,
Fair
a toque. This is like a wool hat.
A beanie.
That you wear on your head that keeps you warm. Do not call it a beanie.
There we go.
Do not call it a beanie. Okay, number 4 is hoser. This is like a Canadian redneck, or someone who's just very Canadian.
Fair enough.
Number 5 is clicks. So this is just short for kilometers. You know, hey bud, just about 50 clicks past Kelowna. And your bonus word today is bud. It's just like friend, buddy, but how you pronounce it is B-U-H-D. Bud.
To be fair, I also do feel as though that last one being bud, or especially buddy, can definitely lean more towards the patronizing part when you're going, all right, buddy, just hand off it, Daryl. Don't worry about it. Where also you can just go, all right, bud, and then that definitely does change the whole meeting. And it's the same with mate in Australia. You go, all right, mate, chill out. Or you go on, mate, let's go. And that, of course, is why English can be quite difficult, because we're not a tonal language, but the tone and the context and everything else surrounding it does make a big difference. One might be aggressive, or one might be completely positive. And if you just listen to the words written out on a page, you might not be able to really tell if you just saw the two words. To be fair, though, I do think that my favorite one is the 25-piece patio set. To be honest, I was just expecting it to be some very, very common thing that was gotten from Canadian Tire or something like that. The same single one, like a Henry Hoover in the UK. It's like the 25-piece patio set from Canadian Tire, and that's just what you get. But that also does make sense. A 24 or a 2-4 and one chair. Jeez. Strap yourself in, you're in for a big night by yourself. But hey, overall it is definitely good to be having these videos just to keep my Canadian slang in check, because it's hardly like I get to use it every single day or just have it in and around all the languages. So when you just hear it, you go, okay, I believe that's what it would be. And yes, everyone knows what a toque is. That's a very easy comparison, but some of them, you definitely do use it or lose it.